Good morning again, and let us start with the topic which we started last time. So probably, if you can recall, last time started something like a collection, something like a list we talked about, and then probably we will start continuing further, and we'll start talking about many different functionalities related to a collection. Now, the collection we started is something called as a list. List is the simplest one, and it is the one which is used frequently when you are developing any Python application. I mean, not only in Python, but also in other languages. The list or the array is preferred when you want to create a collection of different values. Hence, we started with that first type of collection called as a list. So let us explore this and let us start writing few lines of code which will give you different type of functionalities around this list. So let's start with page 1. So probably I'm going to start that page again. That's page 1. Here we are. And we will start writing a different type of collection. We'll start creating different type of collections and see how we can do it. Okay. Yes, Utpal, you're not able to write the code along with me, so I'm trying to record it session. Yeah, no problem, absolutely. But I think it's better if we can start, just writing the code. At least you can copy paste the code. If you don't want to write the code, it's okay. Or if you can't write the code right now, that's okay. At least copy and paste the code and see whether it is working for you. That's it. Okay. Okay, how to write a nested loop? That's troubling me. Can you help me? Yes, Adesh, we are going to write that. Maybe once we are done with the one-dimensional array or one-dimensional list. In the next part, we are going to go with the second dimension or maybe the multi-dimensional list. So there we have to write the nested array. So just wait and you will see the answer. Okay. How to write the data in horizontal manner? Yes, Kaushik, we are going to talk about this in a string formatting session. So just hold on. Again, you will get the answer there. Okay. Not working with the online session option. What's the problem? Is they're still not running? I did not start write the code. That's the reason why you didn't start or why didn't you get it? So probably now if I start writing a code, let's say if I start writing a function 1, now see if you are able to do it. Okay. So go ahead and start the student portal, go to that online session and probably you'll be able to see that page 1, that's 1. And there you can see the line, the function 1. Okay. That's it. Seems like on my machine there are, oh, it has upgraded. Fine, let me just go back and try to change the settings to the one which has all the packages. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, so let us continue further and see what else we can do here. So in this function, I want to create a very simple list. Now to create a list, this is the way to create a list. So as I said last time, you can use a square bracket to create a list. Now this time I'll start with a couple of different approaches. Very first is like, I want to create an empty list. Now empty list is a list which doesn't have anything. The name itself will tell you that there is no element inside that list. Hence it is called as an empty list. So probably I'm going to say list underscore 1. Generally, this is the way we can write the code, or this is the way we can use the convention underscore instead of using the camel convention there. So list 1, this is the first way using square brackets. So square bracket alone will just create an empty list. Very simple. Now I'll just go ahead and print this, and probably when I print it, you will see that there is nothing inside this. So probably you will see empty square bracket here. That simply means it is an empty list. Simple and very simple to understand and very simple to implement as well. Now, along with this list, I want to also print one more thing. So this is list 1's type. So type of list 1. Now, why is it required? Right now for list, it is not required, but there is another one, something called as a tuple, the one we are going to see right after the list. There it is important. So I want to show you, or I want to just write this same statement for all type of 4 collections. So let's continue with this and say this is type of list 1. Just to be on the same page, this is of type list. Exactly. So this is what I was expecting. I got it. This is one way to create an empty list. Now another way to create a list, this is again an empty list, by the way, but this is another way to, this is another way to create an empty list, or you can say this is another way to create a simple list. Whether you want to add something into it or not, that's a different story. But to create a list, you got second option, which is calling a function called as a list. So there is a function called as a list. You can call that function and still you will get a new list object or new list reference in your code. So probably this is my second list underscore 2. I want to again confirm whether I'm getting the data type of this list 2 as a list. Naturally, we will, because even though you are using square bracket or even though you are calling that function list, you still will get the type of that variable as list. So this is a way to create an empty list, square bracket. This is another way to create an empty list. This is again list function. Now, if you really want to create a list with one item, now this is a special case actually, not for the list, but for the tuple. But anyways, I will continue further and will compare the same code or same code snippets with all 4 collections. So this is a list with only one item. This is what I want to try. Again, you can do it quickly by saying something like list 3, which is equals to something like a list, and then there is only one item. Doesn't matter what item you are adding here. It can be an integer, it can be float, it can be string, it can be boolean, it can be anything. But this is a string, this is a array with one value in it. So this is not an empty, but this is a list with only one item. Again, let me go ahead and print this, and let me print the data type of it as well. So this is again type of list 3, which is equals to again the type of list 3. That's it. So again, let me just go back and say run. I got a new list with only one element in it. So the data type of it is again list. As I said, this is not a special case of list, but this is a special case for a tuple. You will see that later, that this case for a tuple is a little bit different. Anyways, I want to show you the same thing again by creating it using a list function. So this is list 4. I can call a function called as a list and pass an array of elements there. So you can pass something like this. So basically this is a list 4. Generally this is not preferred, but still it's okay. You can do it in this way. You can pass that list 4, and probably you can see that though it is list 3 or list 4, both of them are having one element in them and both of them are list. That is a simple proof that you can create a list by using square bracket syntax, or you can call a function list and will create a list for you. That's it. Very simple to understand. Now, once we know how to create a list, anyways, we already have seen that last time, but still we are kind of revising what we have seen last time. So this is another function, function 2, where I want to create a list with a couple of different items and I want to iterate over it. Now, probably if you can recall, iteration in Python can be done by using the traditional for loop or by using for each loop. Both of them will be implemented by using only for in syntax. So the syntax here is for in, but you can use that syntax for achieving the for each loop, or you can also do it by using something like a traditional for loop. Quickly, let us see one more example of it. This is another list 1 where I want to have some numbers in it, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, for example. I want to iterate over this list. Now to iterate over this list, let's say iterate. To iterate over this list, I can simply start writing a for loop and say for value, this is the preferred syntax, for value in list 1, and probably we can say print value. That's it. So this is the way we can do it. Probably I can just call that function 2, and when I say run, you will see I'm getting all the values one at a time, one by one. So this is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, index position 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how we can get all the values by using for in loop, or simply logically it's called as a for each loop, but implemented it as for in loop. Let me go back, print a dash star dash multiplied by, let's say 20. I hope you can still recall when you do something like this, it is just going to print one line below this particular thing. That's it. I want to add a couple of different scenarios, so just want to separate them, nothing other than that. Now I still want to iterate over this, but this time I want to iterate using a for traditional for syntax. Now in Python, though you want to print it by using for each or traditional for loop, still the syntax is going to be pretty much similar. So you have to use that for in loop model. So probably if you want to go for traditional for loop, you have to create something called as index positions. I mean, this list can be literally different for you as well. You can create anything here. You can say index positions, whatever. Name doesn't matter. What matters here is you have to create a list of something like a range of len. Len is nothing but the function which will give you something like a count of list item. So count in the sense there are 5 items. So I'm going to say, give me a list of range of how many items? Len of list 1 items. So len of list 1 will give me 5. So it will start from 0 to 4. once we have the index positions, we can simply write a for loop by saying for index in index position, and you can print the value by saying value at this particular index is equals to maybe something like a list underscore 1 of index. That's it. So precisely speaking, both of them will print a similar result, but one is getting printed by using for each syntax, and the other one is kind of a traditional for loop. So basically, this is iterate using for each. I mean, for each is generally the way to call the way to represent this particular scenario, and this scenario is represented by using a traditional for loop. So I'll say using traditional for loop. That's how you can say that. Both of them will be implemented by using the same, that's for in loop, but one is kind of traditional, one is kind of a traditional approach using the index positions, and another one is like a for each approach. So that's how we can iterate over a list using using one of the ways. You decide which one you want to go for. If you ask me, people generally prefer this syntax because you don't have to create an index positions, and you don't have to worry about using that index every single time. Just use value, it will solve your problem. So this is the way you can do it. Let me comment this and start doing something else with that list. This is something we already have explored last time. There's nothing new to you except how to create an empty list. Empty list is a list which does not have any value inside it. Okay, now from this point onwards, we are going to start talking about few more functionalities in a list. So pay attention. There are 10 different things we are going to see, and we will see them one by one, step by step. I'll do one thing. I'll keep that page 1 as it is. That's for only basic functionality. Now let us continue with page 2, where we are going to talk about the next point. The next point is nothing but performing various different operations in it. Abhilash, your question is what is recursion? Wait on it. We will talk about it. Okay. So let's finish the collection topic. I'll talk about few more advanced functions. I hope I mentioned function topic is not yet over. Actually, it will never get over till you are learning the language, because function is the most important way to reuse your code. So there are a few more advanced topics we have to talk. So just hold on it. We will talk about it right after we are done with this. Okay. Okay. So coming back to the topic, coming back to the notes here. So probably we already have seen how to create a list, how to create an empty list, and blah, 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 blah. Let us talk about some operations. The first operation, the one which we already have performed, is the len. Len means you want to get the length of values, the number of values or the count of the values you are having inside that array. So len is one of the predefined functions or inbuilt functions in Python. Now, those who were wondering, like you are not importing any any library, or you're not importing any header file, then how is it possible for you to use that function? It is possible because when you start Python interpreter, when you start Python's PVM, I hope you can still recall. So once you start running the application, it gets loaded into the PVM, and in the PVM, all these functions are already loaded by default. So you don't have to worry about loading some external library or loading some external header file. Like what you do in case of C or C++, for example, like hash import stdio.h or hash import, hash include stdio.h or hash include iostream in C++, or in Java, you say import java.lang, and there are other things there. So here by default, the classes and the functions will get loaded when you run your application. And that's the reason why we don't have any separate third-party library or maybe inbuilt library need to load when you run your application. So being said that, we already have done with this simple approach to get the number of values, and we already have used it in our previous example. So probably when I was iterating over that list by using a traditional approach, I used that function called as a len. So len is the function which is going to give you the list of values within your array, within your list. Okay, now let us continue further and say this is going to be my function 1 again, and we are going to talk about some little bit advanced options. Let's see. The next function we are going to talk about is called as an append. Now, what is an append? The name itself will suggest something. Append means you are going to append something into an existing array or existing list. So probably I'll say list, which is equals to say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Doesn't matter what values you are having inside it. So this is a kind of a list. Now, when you say list, I want to start appending something to that list. How do I append something? To append something, you can say list one. There is a method you can call append, and you can append whatever you want to append inside it. So this means you are adding the value, you adding the value 60 at the end of the list. When I say at the end of the list, right now the end of the list is 50. So when I say append means the last value will be 60. So this is a kind of a way you can append something or to add something inside the list. So probably I'll call that function 1 and give it a try. So, I need to print it. Otherwise, I will not be able to see what is currently going on. So I'll say before appending, which is kind of print list 1. And let us print this again and say this is after appending. So let us see what happens now. When I say run, probably you can see that before appending, the values were 10 to 50. And after appending the value, it's like 60, and 60 is appended at the end of the list. This is the way you are going to call that function append in order to add something at the end of the list. So this is one of the functions with which we can modify the values. Now, right here, when you talk about something like appending, you can either append hard-coded values like this, 60, 70, whatever it is, or you can also take input from user and you can add it into it. So for example, I want to get a new value from user. So maybe I'll say this is the value user wants to add. Let's use a function called as an input. I hope I already have shown you the function input last time. So here I can ask user to say enter a value. So this is what user is going to enter now. I'll take that value, whatever is entered by user, into a variable called as a value, and then I can call the same function again. So list1 dot append, and I can put that value here, and probably I can use this maybe one more time after appending a value entered by user. So let us see what is the state of that list now. So I'm going to come back here, run my code, and when I say run, probably this is the first time before adding the value 60. This is the second value. This is the second iteration where we tried to print that value, try to print that list after appending 60, which was a hard-coded value. Now it's waiting for me to enter a value. I'll enter a value like 70, and the value 70 will get added inside this particular collection. Don't get surprised here. It's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. All of them are integers, but because if you can recall something, I mentioned this last time. Whenever you enter something on console, by default, it will be considered as a string. And that's the reason why you can have a string, or why you can have a single quote around that 70. It's just because 70 is not an integer. 70 is a kind of string, str. If you really want to add a value which is of type integer, then you have to convert it. You have to go for typecasting it. I'll show a quick example because it's very simple to understand here. So this value is kind of an str value, or it's kind of a string value. So probably I'll just put a comment here and I'll say this is the str. But what if you want to convert that str to a string? So str to integer. So str to integer. To do this, probably I can say the value is equals to, you can call a function called as an int and then pass the value inside it. Now, just to separate them out, I'm going to call this as a str value. So precisely, we are getting input from user as a string. So this is an str value. I'll pass that str value to a function called as an int. Int is the function, again, provided by Python, which is a default function. And this is going to give me a value which is of type integer. This is nothing but the typecasting. So this is a typecast function, typecast. So typecasting, let's say integer to, string to integer. That's how we can do it. So basically you can say value, integer str value. And if I run my code, see what happens now. If I say 70, it makes sense. And I can see that 70 is now an integer. If you pay attention, close attention, last time 70 was in single quote. This time there is no single quote, simply because 70 is not a string anymore. It is a number value, or it's an integer value precisely. Okay, so now you know how to append a value to existing collection. Now let's continue further and talk about the next function. I think the next function is like appending only, but it's kind of insert. Now insert is like you can insert in between. Last time, if you can recall, we said append value will add the value at the end of it. So when I say append 60, it has added 60 after 50, which is the end of the list. But now I'm going to use another function called as insert, and probably insert will do the similar job, but with insert, you can add anything in between the list. Let's say, for example, this is a list one, and I want to say insert, let's say value, so it's a 60 in between, sorry, in between, let's say 30 and 40, or instead of saying in between, I'll say after value 30. So where is 30 right now? 30 is right here. So I want to add that value 60 right after the 30. So the end result should be 10, 20, 30, 60, 40, and 50. That's how I want to do it. So basically, I want to add 60, not the end of the list, but I want to add the value 60 after value 30. In a sense, in place of value 40. So probably you can say this, or you can say insert value at the position 0, 1, 2, 3. So at the position at the position 3, or at the index 3. So basically, I want to insert that value 60 on this position. This value is 3. That's a 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is 3. I want to add that value at the position 3. How do we do that? It's going to be very simple. All we are going to say here is insert. That's a function. Where you want to add it? I want to add it on the index position 3. And which value you want to add it? Let's say value 60. That's it. This is the way we can do it. Let us first print the value, or print the list right now. So I'll say print. This is the list one, and let us print this list one again. This precisely what I'm going to do here is I'm going to call this function print to print the list before inserting a value and after inserting a value. So let me go back and say run, and you would notice that earlier I said like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. That was the state before adding the value 60. Now, if you can recall, what did I say? I said you have to add the value after 30, and you see that the value got added after 30. So basically, there is another way to say it. Insert the value at a position 3 means earlier on third position, 0, 1, 2, 3. On third position, we were having value 40. Now on the third position, we are having a value 60. So this is 10, 20, 30, 60, 40, 50. This is the state of that list one. So again, you can have any value in between the values, in between the existing values, by calling a function called as insert. There are two ways to add something to a list. One is called as an append, which will always add the value towards the end of it. And there's another function called as an insert, which will add the value in between your existing value. Naturally, when you want to use that insert, you have to use a index position where you want to add the value, and the actual value you want to add in that array. So this is the way we can do it. Okay. How to add an integer and string simultaneously? Simultaneously in the sense you can add anything there. So probably if I just go back, not required, but if I just go back and say insert a value or insert a string into the list, how do we do that? Again, you can say insert or append, it doesn't matter. I'll do one thing, I'll call both these functions. I'll say append and say this is going to be a value. This is a string, a value 1, for example. And I can also say list1.insert, and I'll say I want to add it right after, say, 20, in a sense, in the place of 30. So it's a 0, 1, 2. So probably I'll say this is 2, and I'll insert one more string value, value 2, whatever, it can be anything. So let me print the value. So let me print the list state and see what does it print. When I say run, probably you can see that this is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, the state before adding value 60. Value 60 got added in between 30 and 40. This is what expected last time. We already have seen that. Because of append, you see that I'm calling an append function. Because of append, a value 1, which is a string, getting added towards the end of it. And because of insert, a value 2, which is another string, is getting added on position 2. So this is how we can add something like integer, string, or whatever you want to add in a collection simultaneously. Okay, so that's how you can do it, Hanan. Okay. Yes, there is a big difference between using an array in other languages and using list in Python, or using collection in Python. The big difference is in other languages, once you declare an array, you cannot change the size of it. But in case of Python, you can add as many values as you want. There is no limit. The limit is on your machine's RAM. So if your machine's RAM can fit all these values, you can add as many values as you want. So there is no limit here, right? So Parag, absolutely right. Centil list in a list. Can we add? Yes, we can do it. Just hold on for that point, because that is called as a multi-dimensional list. So if you can just go for the next topic, if you can wait for it, and if you can look at the next topic, you will see how to add a list within a list, which is called as a multi-dimensional list. Okay, Pranita, can we write a number 30 instead of index position? Can we write a number 30 instead of index number? I'm not getting what exactly you are saying there. So probably if you're talking about the index value 30, sorry, if you want to add in place of 30, you have to know the index position of it. Unless you know the index position, you can't do it. Okay. Next, Adesh, so that we don't have to go to linked list, we done in the collections. Yes, we'll talk about it. Santosh, can we also remove the values? Wait. You started asking again the questions without looking at what topic we are going to cover. Wait, there are many functions we have to talk. I'm just going sequence by sequence, okay? Anyways, so now we have seen how to add something or how to insert something to an existing array. Let us continue further and see how to remove something. So probably you are going to get an answer here. So see this. I'm going to start again a new function. This is function 3. And probably in this function, I want to remove the values. So probably I'll just get that list as it is. And right here, I want to go for removing the values. Am I using the same? Yes. So here I want to remove the last value, for example. So the function is called as a pop. So pop function is going to remove the last value within the list. So probably if I just go back here and say remove the last value. Before removing the last value, let me just print the current state of it. And now I'll call the function list1 dot pop. So pop is the way you are going to remove the value which is at the end of the list. So if I look at this list, which is the last value in the list, that's a 50. So you are removing value 50 within it. Let me give it a try one more time by saying print list1, and I just want to confirm whether it is doing the job or not. So it's a function 3 I want to run, and let us give it a try and see whether it does the job. So when I say run, probably you can see that earlier we were having the values 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Now you are having the value 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 is gone. 50 is gone because we have removed that value from there. That's it. This is the very simple pop function which is going to remove the last value within your list. So that's how we can do it. Okay, so now you know how to remove a last value. So similar to that append, I want to remove like insert. I was able to insert a value within the array, anywhere in the array or anywhere in the list. I want to do something similar with removing functionality as well. Pop is going to remove only the last value. But what if I want to remove a value in between? So let's come back here and see how we can do it. So probably there are a couple of ways to do it. I'll show you both the ways. Now, instead of looking at this one, I'll get the practical example. And this is something which you can easily do it with the help of a string or strings array. So probably this is a list. Again, I'm writing that list all the time because I want you to focus on that we are using square bracket. That means you are going to get a list. In Python, it is very important to use a particular symbol, because if you use square bracket, you are going to get a list. When you use parenthesis, you will get a tuple, and so on and so forth. So let us see how we can do it. This is a list1 which is not made up of numbers. I'm going to add some countries there. Now, so country like India, let's say USA, let's UK, let's say China, and let's say Japan. So basically I have a list of countries here. Naturally, you know what I'm going to do now. It's pretty obvious that I want to remove China from it. So how do I do it? There are two ways to do that. Okay, I'll show you both of them. So this is where I can say remove China. So remove China from the list. At least at this moment, I'm very happy that I'm able to remove it from my list. I wish I could do it in practical in a real life, and I can just take it out from the global map. It's not possible, but it's okay. At least we can make ourselves happy, you know, just by removing it in our collection. Anyways, let's do it. So let's see, this is list1 dot. I want to call the same function pop again. Now there are two things here. One, you can remove the value China using the index value. So if you know the index, then you can call the function called as a pop. Remember last time I used pop, and the pop is nothing but removing the last value. But pop comes with two flavors. In a sense, if you call pop alone, it is going to by default remove the last value. So it's going to remove the last value if you don't pass any parameter or any index value within it. But if you know the index, like it's 0, 1, 2, 3. So if I say list1 dot pop 3, which means this is going to remove the value at the position 3 from list 1. And if you don't believe me, just go back here. I'm sorry, just go back here and try to, sorry, where we are. My bad. Here it is. Okay, so let's go back here and say print list 1, and probably you will see that yes, the value China or the country China is gone. It's gone because we are using a pop function, and the pop function comes with another flavor where we can pass index into it. Basically, pop by default accepts the index, but if you do not pass index, it starts with the last value within it. I hope you can still recall when you are writing the function, parameters can have the default values. So that's a benefit pop is taking out there. So when you are not passing any parameter, means pop is going to use the default value of that parameter, and by default it returns, or by default it deletes the last value within your collection. But if you really want, you can you can pass the index, and that index will be used to delete that value from your collection. That's how it goes. Now, when you talk about something like removing a value, so this is one way to do it. Now, probably the another way is like if you know the value that you want to delete, then you can simply pass the value as well. Take a look at the line number 60 here, line number 70 here. On line number 70, if you see here the pop function, I'm not passing China as a value. I'm passing the index of that value China. Okay, got it. Now what? I can come back here and maybe I can use the same function, or better, I create another function just for demonstrating how to remove a value by using a value, not by using its position. So this is function 5. And right here, I want to delete value China. How do I delete it? How do I delete that? See what I'm going to do it here. So remove value China, remove China using value. So that was using index last time. This time I'm going to remove by using a value. So to do this, I'm going to say list1 dot remove, and here I have to pass the value. The value here is China. Take a look at both of these functions and compare them, and you will understand what is going different here in this particular function. Last time when I was calling function pop, I was passing the index value. This time when I'm calling the remove, I'm passing the actual value I want to delete. So probably I'll come back here and say this is going to be the list I want to print, and let's come back and call that function. And here you will see value China is also, I mean, it's gone, and the current state is exactly similar to the last one. So probably you go by this way or you go by this way. Both of them will remove the same value from that function. One is deleting by index position. Another one is deleting that value by using the value. So this is the way you can do it. So when you talk about removing, there are two ways you can do that. One of them is called as a pop index, which is going to be doing the same thing here. And another one is something like a remove. Now, when I say remove, please remember here we have to pass the value. And when you say pop, here we have to pass an index. So this is the difference between using something like a pop and something like a remove. Now, when you say remove, there is a kind of limitation here. The limitation is this. Let me just come back, create another function. This is going to be a function 6, for example. And if I just come back here and create another list, again, this is a list. I'll call it as a numbers, just to be again on the same page. This is the numbers, or this is a list one. Better to say it's a list one because I'm using that in all over the functions. So it's better I can just continue using the same variable name, list one. And here I'm going to add a few values. Let's say 10, 50, 20, 30, 40, whatever, say 30, let's say 50, 10, 20, so on and so forth. I'm just adding some random numbers there. Now, when you say this is the list and I want to delete a value within it, let's say I want to delete a value, maybe 30. Do I have 30? Yes, I do have a 30 there. So how do I delete the value 30? One way to do it is by using the index position. So count the index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So either you can use that pop function and pass 5 to delete that 30 and maybe this 30 as well. Or you can call the remove function and maybe you can pass the value 30 and the value 30 will get removed. We'll try with the value, or we'll try with the remove function now, and I'll show you what is the limitation of it. So here I'm saying removing value 30. So let us see what happens and what is the limitation of it. So probably I'm going to use the same function we have just used a minute before. I'm going to call that remove function and pass value 30. Now, before I call remove, let me see what is the current state of that list. And after removing value, let me see what is the current state at this moment. So I'll say list one, and I'm going to say list one, and probably I'll simply say it's function 6, and we'll give it a try. See what happens now. When I say run, probably you can see that this was my last state and this is my current state. You notice that earlier there was 30 at this position, and now the 30 is not it's not there in the list. It's gone. I mean, it got removed. Fine. It already has done what it is meant for. But did you see something? You see that though 30 value got removed, but not all occurrences of 30 value removed. It is going to remove, or it already has removed, only the first occurrence of it. That's a kind of limitation of using a remove. So please remember, when you are having duplicate values in your list, it's not going to remove all of these values. It is just going to delete only the first occurrence of it. But what if you want to call, or what if you want to delete the value 30 with all its occurrences? There are two occurrences of value 30, and if I want to delete both of them, how do I do that? Now to do this, naturally, you'll have to call that function one more time. So precisely if I go back here and if I do the same thing one more time, so see what happens here. First time when I called 30, you see this 30 got removed, and second time when I got removed with the value 30, this 30 is now removed. So it has done its job, but it has to do it sequentially by removing one value or removing the first occurrence every time. Now it works. I mean, I saw the logic. I just have to copy this code one more time. I mean, I did that literally copy pasting the code manually, but in the real life, this is not going to happen. What if someone is asking me to remove all the values, all the occurrences of the value? So how do I do this then? Now to do this, right now I did that literally by copy pasting twice because I knew 30 value got repeated two times. So I called that function twice. But naturally, when you are running this code in your maybe another program, or if you want to do it dynamically, this is not the right approach, isn't it? It worked. There's no doubt in that it worked. But here I know that these are the two occurrences of value 30, and that's the reason I'm calling the value, calling that function 30 only twice. What if I call this one more time? And you see that right after this, there is nothing to delete, and that's the reason my application crashed, because right after this position or right after this occurrence, there is no value 30 exists in the list, and that's the reason my application crashed. You see, if even by accident, if I call remove by that value which doesn't exist in my list, it simply crashes my application. And you see that the application crashed. It says X is not in the list. X is not in the list in a sense the value 30 is not there in the list. Naturally, because there were two occurrences of 30 in my list one, and I removed both of them. Once on line number 97 and second one on line number 101. There is no 30 remain in my list, and that's a reason probably I cannot delete it anymore. That's how you can see by default when you're talking about something like this scenario, it's not going to delete it. It's just because there is nothing there. So which means logically, when I'm writing code like this, I should not either hard code this, or I should not just blindly call the remove function multiple times. There should be some logic within it. And of course there is, in fact. So if I want to call that remove multiple times, I need to find how many times the value is repeated. Now see how it can be found. So probably in this case, I want to find out, find all occurrences or find the occurrences of value 30. So this is what I want to do. So I want to find out the occurrences of 30, and to do this, then the function is a little bit different. So here I'm going to say how many times the value 30 got repeated. So this is the count of 30, number of occurrences of 30, and I can do it easily by saying list1 dot count. Count is the function with which we can find out how many times the value 30 got repeated, or how many times the value 30 occurred in my list. This is the count. So it's a little bit different, but this is the way we can find out. So I can say 30 repeated these many times. So let me see whether I'm getting the correct value or not. So this is where I'm going to say the count 30. That's it. Let's call that function function 5, function 6. What is that? Function 6. Okay, so this is function 7, and let's call this function 7 and give it a try. Let's see what happens. Now when I say run, you see that value 30 repeated 2 times. Naturally, because we see that the value 30 is here and value 30 is right here. Let me give it a try and see how many times the value 40 or 50, let's say 50 occurred in this case. So I'm going to call this as a count 50, and probably I'll say 50 value got repeated these many times. Let's see whether it does the job. And yes, it seems like 50 value got repeated 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, I can see that. So this now will tell me how many times the value 50 repeated in my list. Now I can simply run a for loop and remove all these values one by one. So next part is pretty simple and next part is pretty logical. If I know how many times value 30 is repeated, I can say that for maybe index in, you can say a range of count 30. So basically count 30 means it's kind of going to run your for loop for, let's say, 2 times, because there are value 30 occurred on 2 different positions. I don't care about that index, but I do need to create a variable there. So that's the reason I'm saying for index in range. Now you can call that function list1.remove value 30. This is the first time, and because it is in a for loop, probably you can understand for loop is kind of running this twice, and that's the reason the list1.remove 30 will get called twice. If I go back and say run, you will see that I never have printed it, but let me just go back here and say print list1, and probably you will see that value 30 is no more in the sense it's gone from the list. It's gone from the list, and we have achieved it simply by running a for loop dynamically by finding how many times the value 30 is repeated in my case, in my array case. The same thing can be done easily for value 50. So it is going to come back here. I'll say count 50 and say 50, and if I say run, you see that value 50 is also removed, and not only one value, but all the values of them are removed. So that's the way we can do it, you know. So very simple way. You can go back here and try to do it and see. This is the way you can remove all the occurrences of it. There are a couple of different ways to do that. This is the simplest way, logical way, and the code is also readable, like what exactly you are doing there. Okay, so probably this is the way we can do it. So now when we can do it using the for loop, yeah, this is the way you can do it. Probably Parag, try that and see what does it do. So when you say list1.count 30, and if you pass it, then it is going to delete the value which count returns, not the way what you're thinking about. So try that. Okay. How can I remove a string representation in the case? Code will remain same. There is no change. It's like you just have to pass a string value instead of passing a number value. I'll give you an example of it. Probably you can understand it quickly because we already have seen how it works. I'm going to come back here and say this is going to be my function 8. This time I'm going to create one more list. This time the list is of string. Let's say fruits, for example. So maybe I'll say fruits, which is equals to, fruits, for example. Let's say apple, say banana, let's say orange, let's say jackfruit, and so on and so forth. So probably what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add apple one more time. So this time, in this case, I want to see how many times the apple repeated. How do I do this? Not a big deal. I'm going to find out directly by saying apple repeated these many times. Just to find it out, I'm going to say fruits dot count, and how many times. I'll just simply pass the apple here, and probably this is how we can do it. Now because we already have started with double quotes, I can't use double quote within double quote. I'll simply say a single quote apple, and this is how I can find it out. So probably I'll say this is the function 8 I'm using right now. I'm going to give it a try. Let's say run, and probably you will see that apple repeated twice. Naturally, if it is repeated twice, I can run a for loop again, like what I did earlier. I can say for index in the fruits, and probably if I just go back and try to call that same function which I called earlier, say fruits dot remove apple, that's it. So probably this is the way we can do it. You can say run, I'm sorry, fruits dot remove apple, that's correct. And probably I'll say print, what is that, fruits, yes, fruits. What it is saying, X is not in the list, isn't it? Okay, so this is a little bit weird. So what does it do? Okay, it's not doing what am I asking. Maybe I'm going to try something like pop index. That's another way you can use it. Str object cannot be represented as an integer. Are you kidding me? Fruits.pop index. What am I doing here? Where is it crashing? Let's check this out quickly. Fruits.pop index, line number 149. I'm sorry, line number 144. Fruits.pop. Fruits.pop index. That's correct. Index in fruits. I'm so stupid. I'm trying to do it in this way. My bad. It's like fruits dot count. So stupid. We'll have to do it in this way. That's why I was wondering, like, why didn't it call? So I should have said count apple, for example, which is equals to fruits dot count, and I should have passed the value apple there. It's my bad. Maybe I'll have to say it this time. Say range of count apple. This time it is going to do the job. So it's going to remove the apple which was repeating twice. I can either do it this way or I can do it in this way. You decide, because you are getting the index position there. You can pass it by removing the index values as well. Nevertheless, I'm going to do it in this way. Probably this with this I can find out the value apple is getting removed twice. This is the way we can do it. So it doesn't matter whether it's a string or whether it's a number. The logic is going to remain same. The function is going to remain same. The parameters will also remain same. So it's just the type of value you want to delete. It could be a number or it could be an integer. More important thing here is you have to use a function called as count. The count function, it's a little bit implemented, or it's a misfit here. I mean, generally, when you are coming from different languages, you will have some mindset set. So probably you will say that count function will use to find the count of elements inside that list. But here it's not the count which is going to give the list items or number of list items, but here the count will give you number of times the value appeared in the list. So it's a count of that value. That's how you can get it. So anyways, when you talk about the count is used to find out how many times the value is repeated. But what if I really want to get the index? I mean, here I used the value and I passed to that remove, and that's how I got to know that the value exists twice or thrice. Fine. But now I want to really find out the position of it. So probably I'll just go back here and say, find out the position of a number which is repeated in this list. I'm going to use the same list, the one which I used earlier. I want to find out on which position 50 occurs for the first time. Last time I already have seen how to get the number of times or number of occurrences of a value. This time I'm not going for number of occurrences. I'm going for the position on which 50 appears for the first time. So this is what I'm going to try now. So probably Rohit, what is the difference between apple and apple? The apple and apple you are talking about is one is capital, the other one is a small a, which is going to make the values different. I hope I mentioned that earlier. Python is a case sensitive language. So where apple with a small and apple with a capital, these are two different values. So please see it accordingly. Okay. Shrikant, is it possible to write this code without using the predefined functions? Yes, of course, you can write your own logic. You can use a for loop. You can run all the values. You can go through all of them. You can compare them and you can do it. So if you don't want to use the predefined functions, no big deal. You can define your own functions as well. Okay. But again, the question is, if someone already has invented the wheel, why should you reinvent it? You know, you are just wasting your time. If Python already has done a nice job by providing all the predefined functions, I would say, why should you waste your time doing the same thing again? It's like you can use this existing function and then you can build some nice solutions on top of it. But again, choice is yours. To answer your question, yes, it can be done, but it's not necessary. Okay. So now I want to find out at which position value 50 occurs for the first time. Okay, I'll show you one example here first, and then I'll come back to the right point. So I'm going to come back here and say, use that count function and see what is exactly it returns. So here it says 50 repeated how many times? So 50 repeated, let's say list one dot count 50 times. This is going to tell me how many times it is repeated. It doesn't tell me on which position it is available in the list, or it doesn't tell me like in which case or in which at which position the value 50 appears for the first time, the second time, third time, and so on and so forth. If I really want to find it out, then I have to call the other function called as index. So probably I'll say here value 50 appears first time or appears at position. Which position? To find it out, I'm going to say that something like this. Let's say position of 50, which is kind of again list of one dot index. Index is the function, index is the method that you are going to call with value 50, and that will tell you where it exists in your collection. So probably I'm going to call that function 9 and give it a try, and it will tell you the value 50 appears at position 1. Oh really? Oh yes, exactly. See, 0 1. So basically what it is doing here is like it is going for the value 50, and it tells you that the value 50 for the first time appears on position 1. Now you must have seen that, or you must have noticed that whenever it finds the value 50 in the list starting from left to right, it stops there. So probably what it is doing behind the scene is like it is going on the 0th position. It is saying, hey, are you 50? It says, no, I'm 10. So it goes to the next position. The function asks the list again, hey, are you 50? This response saying, yeah, I'm 50. So basically the function index returns the position 1 and it stops there. But actually what I want to do here is I want to find out the next position as well, where it exists in the function. How do I do it then? Now this will tell me that the value 50 first time appeared on position 1. Now let me see where it is appearing after the first position. So again, I'm going to do the same thing here. And this time I will pass a parameter. So probably what I'm going to say here is, I know value 50 appeared on the first position. So what I'm going to do here is, don't start from 0th position for searching 50. Start rather from position 2. 2 in a sense, we already have seen value 50 appeared on first position. So now start searching for 50 from this position. So from this position, in a sense, 0, 1, 2. So probably what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pass a parameter like 2. The pass parameter 2 is nothing but I don't want to start from a 0th position. I want to start from second position. Let us see what does it return. So probably it says 50 appeared at the position 1 for the first time, but after first position, it now appeared on the 4th position. So this is how we can do it. I know what you're asking right now, like how would I know that it is appearing on this particular position, or how can I pass it? Just hold your question, you will get the answer. Okay, just give me a minute. I'll show you all of these answers to your questions. I'm doing it step by step. Yeah, now I know that it is appearing on the 4th position as well. I want to give it one more shot. See, last time I already have found 50 got repeated 3 times. So I got the first position, I got the second position. Now I want to do the same thing here. I want to find out the 3rd position as well. So how do I find the 3rd position? Probably the position which I got last time, 40, I'm going to add 1 into it. So basically it's like this, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 50 occurred here. Now if I want to find out where else it appeared in my list, I'll start searching from this position. What is this position? The previous position 4 plus 1, that is 5. I'm going to add that 5 here, and probably now you will see the position of value 50 appeared inside your list, which is now 6th one. Naturally, there is nothing after it. So if you call it again, so probably just I pass the value 7, because 6 is the last time 50 appeared in that list. So if I pass 7, you will see that it is not going to do any job, because 50 doesn't exist after that particular position. So this is not the right way to call that, because that's a reason why I already have called the function count and got the count how many times 50 repeated. So I should not call this function one more time, because I know 50 repeated only 3 times. So I should call that function thrice And yes, every time it told me like the function, I'm sorry, the value 50 appeared on this and this position. Now coming back to the question, like I did this by literally hard coding the values, and you agreed to that. Like this is kind of a position, this is kind of a scenario where you know where exactly it exists, and you know that you are kind of doing it just for the sake of learning something. But this is not what we are going to do in the real life. In the real life, if I want to call or if I want to find out the positions of them, naturally we have to find out the positions literally by running a for loop or doing it dynamically. So how do I do this? Haven't you seen the logic? The logic is start from 0, then go to the next point or go to the next position by adding 1 to the existing one, and then keep on doing it all the time. For example, I'll say here, maybe this is the for loop. I don't care about the index, but I'm just going to say that index is equals to, or index in, what is that? Range of len of how many values? No, not range of, it's the count of, because I want to repeat this thrice. So even not in the range of, I should say, yeah, it's better. Range of list one dot count 50. This is the logic we are implementing. You can imagine the logic and you can implement on your own as well. So you decide how you want to do it. I'm just making your life a little bit simpler. So probably this is the way we can find out. It's better I can just split that into two parts. This is the count 50. So there'll be no confusion. How many times the value repeated, and I'm going to pass it here. So this for loop is going to run 3 times. Now, every time I want to find out the position of 50. So probably I'm going to come back here, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pass the value, let's say position. So position is equals to, maybe I'll say 0, and I'll pass that position 0. Sorry, not 50. I'll pass that position value. This is how we can do it. Position means where I want to start searching for the value 50 in that list. I'll start from 0 like this. Now you notice that the value for position is going to get changed. So I'll say that position 50 is the value where it appears for the first time. So probably this is going to return 1. So if I want to pass the position is equals to 2, so I'll say that position is equals to position 50 plus 1. I don't know whether you can get it or not, but here I can see at what position it is appearing. So I'll see 50 appears on or maybe at this particular position. Which position? Let's say position 50. So 50's position is this. And now I'll say search for a 50 from the next value or from the next position. That's what we are going to do it here. So let us see what does it return. This is the logic. So we are implementing that logic and it seems like it's working fine. It says 50 appeared on first position, 50 appeared on fourth position, 50 appeared on sixth position, and it is doing their job exactly 3 times because we are running this for loop 3 times. And why are we running this for loop for 3 times? Because here I'm finding out how many times the value 50 repeated. So get the count of 50 value, or see maybe how many times the 50 appeared. Don't want to write any comment. It's already been explained a couple of times earlier. So here we are finding out how many times value 50 repeated, and exactly that amount of time we are running the for loop, and then we are finding out the position of it. Not that you have to use it in every single example, but it's good to know how to do it. Okay, so probably those questions you were asking last time, how to do them, how do I know the position, how do I go to the next one, how do I do it dynamically, all of them, I hope you find out the answer there. Okay, so that's how we are doing it. Good. Prerna, does the Python provide any way to graceful error handling like the exception handling? Of course, yes. Right now, we don't know what exactly it is, and we cannot look at the exception handling unless we know object-oriented programming, and that's the reason why I can't talk about it. But sooner or later, once we are done with object-oriented, we will see something called as an exception handling. And exception handling in Python is way better than the other languages. We'll talk about it when we go to that topic. Okay, don't worry. Vikas, line number 176, what exactly do you mean by that? Okay, Harshita, repeat the program. It's pretty simple. Okay, now I'll do one thing. Instead of repeating the program literally by simply looking at the list, I'll show you how to debug the application as well. So probably I'm going to put my breakpoint here, or better I'm going to I'll put my breakpoint here. Instead of doing it here, I'll put the breakpoint here. Now just click on this particular area and it will set the breakpoint. Now breakpoint is the way we are going to stop our execution at that particular moment, and probably I'll continue looking at what exactly is happening in the real time. So instead of running the application, debug the application. So click on that debug and it will start debugging the application. Now you see that my application started debugging and I got my control on this particular line. This is the breakpoint. My breakpoint is hit, and probably this is the line that I want to execute. Now below in this particular area, you see there are a couple of options. There is a to do, run, debug, terminal, and so on and so forth. So this is the debug where we are in right now. And there are a couple of options. There are a couple of buttons. It's like step over, step into, step execute the function, and step out, and so on and so forth. Along with this, there is another option like continue till it finds the next program, or till it finds the next breakpoint. This is the stop, and probably this is the restart. So this is how you can see the different buttons available in PyCharm. Now I want to execute this line and continue further. Again, when you are in PyCharm, just hover your mouse on that particular instance or on that particular variable. You will see more information about it. Just hover on this list one and it will tell you like what exactly this list is having at this moment. Okay, I'm going to execute this. I'm going to continue with this step, and here it tells me, here already has told me like the value 50 appeared 3 times. So I got the value here. Now what? I'm going to continue further and I'll say, hey, just start searching for value 50 from position equals to 0. You see that the position is equals to 0 right now because we have not modified it. We have initialized it right here. So position is equals to 0. I'll continue further. I'll just say at what position value 50 exists. It seems like value 50 exists or appears on position 1, which is absolutely what we have seen last time. So now I'm going to continue further and I'll see that what exactly the line number 176 is doing. Earlier position 50 was 1. So we already have seen that a minute before here, and we are modifying the position value right now. Why are we modifying the position? See, position earlier was 50, I'm sorry, was 0. Now I'm saying position 50. Position 50 is 1 and I'm adding 1 to it, which means position will become 2. Exactly what I did here. So you see that position 2 means the last occurrence of 50 plus 1. So the last occurrence of 50 is 1 plus 1. The position will become 2. Now why we are incrementing that position? Because we are in a for loop, and if you go to the next point, I want that position to be used value as 2. So I don't want to start searching for 50 from 0th position. Rather, I want to search value 50 from position equals to 2. That's why we are modifying it. So I mean, those who are asking the question like, why are we doing it, or what exactly do you mean by 176? So now hopefully you are getting it. Now I'll search for 50 from position 2, and it seems like value 50 exists on maybe on index 4. Yeah, I got it here. So if I got the value 50 on position 4, if I want to search for the next one, I mean, we don't have to, but if I want to go for, then we can increment the value. 4 was the position I found last time. I'll go from the very next position, which will give me the position value of 5, which exactly what I did here. So what I did manually, I'm just putting that inside a for loop and making it dynamic. That's it. So probably here I'm getting the position equals to 5 now. That was a position 54 plus 1. This is position 5 now. I'm going to start searching 50 from position 5, and probably it tells me that yeah, the position, I'm sorry, the 50 is appearing on maybe I think on the 7th or 8th position. I don't know. We'll check this out, and then I think I'm done. I'll just continue with it. And if I look at the terminal, or if I look at the console, I can see the output as well. Right now, I'm sorry, not this one, this console. So probably there is nothing right now. I'm going to run that code instead of debugging, and probably you will see that it's kind of telling me that it appears on first, 4th, and 6th position. So line number 176 is where you are trying to change the position from which the searching will start from the next time. This is how we can do it. Okay. Okay. Who's that? Preeti, connection to Python debugger failed, socket closed. Maybe just give it a try one more time. Sometimes it happens. If you're on Windows, it happens many a times. So right click on this and again say debug. It may happen a couple of times. Don't worry. Just keep on running it. It will do. Just try restarting Mac. Oh, it's Mac. It's Mac. Surprising. It never happens on the Mac. But if it is happening, just don't worry. Simply quit this PyCharm and try opening it, and then give it a try. It may solve your problem. Okay, just give it a try. Good to know that you are on Mac, because Windows really sucks, you know. Anyway, so when you are on, when you are inside this particular program, you see that how many times value is repeating, and how we can find out the positions, and how we can remove those position value as well. Guys, are you with me? Are you able to understand what we are trying to see here? All of you? Can you please confirm? Okay. Okay. So that's good. If you already have seen it, we talked about the remove, we talked about the index, already have mentioned all of these things here, and we already have talked about something like a count. Now, when I say count, count is the function which is not giving me a value, or count is not giving me the number of values in it. Count gives me the number of times the value repeated. Now let's look at one more functionality, which is very, very, very simple. Probably anyone can say what exactly it is doing. The function name is sort. So maybe I'm just going to go back here. I'll use the value of the function 10, and I'm sorry, I'll use the same. What the hell? I'll get this one more time. It's better I can just copy and paste the code here. And this time I want to sort the values. Very simple. Maybe I'll say list one underscore sorted. This is ascending. This is ascending sort. So I'm going to say ASC for ascending. I'll say list one underscore sort. That's it. And then probably I'm going to come back here and say call that function 10. I'll print both of them. This is the original list one. So I'll say print list underscore one. And this is print list underscore one assorted. I'm sorry, sorted ascending. So if I just go back here, it's, oh, can you see something? It's not doing anything. I mean, it's just simply returning none. My God, what happened? I mean, I was expecting that sort will give me the sorted, the list with the ascending sorted values. But instead of doing it here, it's just returning none. What happened? To be precise, this is not the right way to do it. I mean, when you want to sort it, you just have to call sort and don't do anything. The list here will automatically get sorted. This is called as inline sort. Inline sort in a sense, not the algorithm I'm talking about. Inline in a sense, the sort is modifying your existing collection values. So basically, when you are sorting the list one, just call the sort function and it will automatically modify the list one, which is kind of modifying the original collection. So if I use the list one more time, you see that the values are automatically sorted. So please see to it. It is not going to return anything. Till now, whatever I was doing, I was getting the return value from those methods. But here, it's not returning anything. It's modifying my original collection, generally known as inline sort, or it is kind of modifying your, I'm sorry, not inline, it's called as in place. My bad. It's okay. In place sort means it is modifying the original collection. So I'll say that it changes the order inside the original collection. So it says modifies the original collection. So this is the way we can do it. It's not a good idea to do it because it is modifying your original collection. So after this, list one will always be in a sorted mode. So is there any way to create a copy of it? Yes, there is a way to do it, and probably I'm going to do it first and then I'll try sorting it out, because if I say sort, probably it is sorting the original collection here. So what I'm going to say here is, instead of modifying the original collection, let's say create a copy of it. Create a copy of list or list one. So probably I'm going to say this is a list underscore two or list underscore one sorted ASC, which is ascending. I'm going to say list one dot copy. So copy is the one with which we can do the copy of it. Copy means it is going to literally create a new memory copy or new memory allocation for it. And then instead of doing it here on list one, I'll say do it on sorted list. And then I can say do it on the sorted list. Please pay attention, because this time I'm going to print both of them. This is my original collection and this is my sorted collection. So I just want to show you that the sorted collection is a completely different collection and original collection is intact. Original collection is intact because I created a copy of it and then I called sort on it. This is a good idea and this is the best practice, one of the best practices. Don't try to call the sort function on the original function, original collection, unless you really want to do it deliberately. Most of the times people generally make this mistake and they modify the original collection and they lose the entire order of the values. And that's the reason why it is a bad idea to call sort on the original collection. So how do you do that? How do you solve the problem? To solve that problem, all we have to do here is call that function, call that method called as copy. Just get the copy of it, new copy of it, and then call sort on top of it. Naturally, this is working fine, but you must be having one more question in your mind. Like, ascending, I got it, but what if I want to go for descending then? Not a big deal. I'm going to go back here and say create another copy of it. So create a copy, copy of list 1, and I want to create that for for sorting it in the descending order. So probably I'm going to say sorted descending. So to go for sorted descending order, all we have to say here is maybe equals to list1 dot copy. That's what we have done earlier as well. And now I want to go for in place sort again, but this time in place sort will sort it in descending order. How do we do this? Very simple. All we are going to say here is this is the descending order, call sort. But naturally when you say sort alone, it is going to do it in ascending order. What if I want to do it in the descending order? Not a big deal. We can simply say reverse is equals to true. Reverse is equals to true. That simply means do it in a reverse order. By default it is ascending. If you want to go for descending, just pass reverse is equals to true. Don't ask me a question like what exactly you are doing here. Probably we already have explained, or we already have seen many examples where a function can be called with the parameter and the parameter's value, or instead of passing only true, I can say that reverse true. So now I'm precisely saying the true value is going to get assigned to the parameter reverse. Give it a try and see what happens. So print list1 sorted descending, and if I say run, probably you can see that it's 10 10 20 30 40 50 50 50 here 50 50 50 40 30 30 20 20 10 10. That means it's ascending and the descending. So both of them are kind of giving me the right values in the right order, and this is what I was looking for. So make sure that you are getting it. Sort is in place sort. In place in a sense it is going to modify your original collection. So please see to it that you are making a copy of it. Otherwise you are going to lose the original order of those elements. So it's very important to create a copy of it, and to do it there's a simple function called as copy. That's it. This is the way you can do it. Which sorting algorithm it is using behind the scene, to be very precise and to be very honest, I really don't care about it. Why? It's not like I don't care. I do care about it, but there is no way I can say which algorithm it is using right now, because depending on the values, it will decide which algorithm will give you the best option. See, at the runtime, at the dynamic, while it is doing the job, while it is doing the compilation, it will find out which algorithm will give a better value or better performance, and it will use it accordingly. There are multiple sorting algorithms you might have seen, like selection sort, binary sort, and stuff like that. So it may use one of them depending on the values you are having and depending on the situation. So to answer your question, Adesh and Amarendra, I don't know, because it really will be doing it dynamically. Okay, so it might be using selection sort, it might be using binary sort, I don't know. It depends on that function, it depends on the values it is using behind the scene. Anyways, so again, why I'm saying like I'm not bothered, it's just because when you are talking about the sorting algorithms, there are many actually, but you know what, when you're solving the real problem, just look at it from the real world perspective. When you are solving your real world problem, let's say you are working on an application, you are having, let's say, thousands of person objects, and you want to sort them. Now what are you going to do? Are you going to design your own algorithm there, or are you going to start implementing the selection sort or the insertion sort there? Of course not, because if you start doing it, the problem will not be related to the person, the problem will become on searching, which is going to waste your time. Again, the same statement which I made earlier, if someone already has invented the wheel, why should you reinvent it? These developers already have put their own efforts to make the things look better, make the things to perform well. So we trust them, and we call that simple sort function, and it's going to do the job. Okay, this is how we can do it. Now I call that function sort here alone without having any parameter, it is going to do it in ascending order. If I want to do it in descending order, I'll have to say reverse is equals to true. I don't know whether you got the logic here or not. I can also do it myself in a sense. If I know that these are the ascending values or ascending order values, see what I'm going to do it here. If I see that this is a ascending order collection, if I want to go for descending order, what should I do? Naturally, if I want to do it in this way, or if I want to do it myself, I'll simply put them in the reverse order. Can you see that? Ascending, reverse of ascending is descending, and reverse of descending is ascending. So probably if I don't want me to if you don't want me to call this particular function, I have a simple logic for it. So probably I can say sort descending order. Sort descending. How do I do that? If you want to sort them in descending order, all we have to say here is we already have got them sorted in ascending order. Just call reverse on it. And Python does provide a reverse function or reverse method on a collection like list. So probably here, I'm going to come back and say list1.sorted.reverse. Now, when you talk about the function reverse and when you talk about the function sort, both of them are in place functions. In place in a sense, they modify your existing collection. So probably if you want, you can get a copy of it and then do it if you really want to. But otherwise, reverse is going to do the same job. So probably if I just come back here and say, hey, just print the values one more time, you will see that now the collection is in a reverse order of ascending, which means it is a descending. So that's how we can do it. So this is in ascending order and reverse of it is in descending order. See to it, I'm calling another function called as a reverse, and reverse is going to give me the values in reversed order. That's how we are doing it. So probably Rachit, you are asking the question like what exactly that line number 199, which was something like this, was doing here. Now hopefully you must have got the point. Like if you are sorting it and if you say reverse equals to true, first it is going to do it in ascending order, then it is going to give you the value in a reverse order, which means you are going to get the descending values, descending order values. So probably this is another way to do the job without using a parameter like reverse true for that method, something like a sort. You can do it yourself as well. So again, as I said, you still can do it, but again, why should I do it if I know that there's a function exists? So I can simply call the sort function and pass reverse equals to true. So that is the way we can do it. How do I reverse the value without sorting? That's what I showed you here. Can you see that? This is the way you can do it. Sort the reverse. And if you want to reverse alone, you can only reverse here. I'll show you one more example of it. Don't get the things in a different direction, or don't just misunderstand the requirement here, because we were in the in that sorted example. That's why I did that. But now if I'm just coming back here and creating a list here, I can still call the function sort, the reverse, and get the things reversed. Not remove, sorry, my bad. It's reverse. And then I can still get all the values in the reversed or in the reverse order. Please understand, reverse and sort, both of them are different. Here, it's not sorting the list. It is giving you in the reverse order. See 20, see here 30, then 10, then 50, then 30, then 50, then 40, then 20, then 50, then 10. It's giving you in the reverse order. Reverse does not require sort. Reverse and sort, both of them are different methods. It's actually the case like when we were doing it for ascending and someone got confused like what exactly the reverse true is doing. I just tell you the logic. I mean, I told you like this is the way you can get the reverse of ascending to get the value sorted in a descending order. So that's what I was talking about. But it's not necessary to go for sort in order to go for reverse. Both of them are different things. Okay. Now coming back to your question, how's that? Yes, time sort is a hybrid stable sorting algorithm derived from the merge sort and insertion sort designed to perform well. Some maker say it was implemented by Tim Peters in 2002 for the use of programming language. Exactly. There are many different algorithms, and as and when the language goes to the next version, or as and when they invent another better algorithm, they replace that internally. So To be very precise and to be very honest, at this moment, as a Python developer, I'm just going to bother about calling the sort function, because I know I'm going to trust that Python's capability, and I'll say that Python is going to give me reverse order, or maybe not reverse, but give me the sorted order in a best way possible. Okay. Tanya, your question, when we used the len argument and the str argument, but when we use the pop, we call list1.pop or list1. Can you explain the difference between this? When you talk about pop and sort, both of them are completely different. When you say pop is going to remove the last value, sort is going to remove, sort is going to sort your values in ascending order. So both of them are completely different functions. Len is going to give the count of it. Pop is going to remove the last value. Pop my index will give will remove the value by index. Sort will sort the values in ascending order. Okay. Hanan, your question, how to check the possible errors that we might encounter in a program. Hanan, I think when you're talking about the errors, like when your application is crashing, I mentioned that last time, that you have to wait for some time, because I cannot talk about this at least in this week, because you need something called as object-oriented programming in order to handle those errors. Those errors in Python are called as exceptions. So there is a topic called as exception handling, and there you will see how to handle these errors. Right now you can't do anything, just let it crash, let it die for some days, but later, once we are done with object-oriented programming, we'll definitely take a look at what do you mean by something called as a exception handling, and that will solve your problem. Okay. So Hanan, I think no, it's not like that, Hanan. It's not like I'm skipping any question, but I'm looking at the questions randomly. Whenever I see that screen, I see that there's a question popped up, so I answer that. So Hanan, there is no intention to ignore your questions. Okay. Anyways, coming back to next question, Aniket, can you please explain the copy one more time? Copy is going to literally copy in memory. So for example, so probably what we are doing here is we are creating a collection, or you're creating a list here. So probably I'm going to come back here and say, this is the one I'm doing it here. I'm going to do it quickly instead of doing it in this case. Just going to do it quickly here by using simple values, or maybe let's say less values than what we are doing earlier. So this is my very simple collection. See what happens here. This is going to create a memory. So again, like last time, there will be a block where we are going to have the numbers, and there will be another block where we are going to have these values. So value 10. Okay, so value 10, 20, or 30, then 40, and then 50. So all of these values, are we having the values 30, 40, 50? I don't know. Let's do it this way and we'll see. So there are values like this, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. I'm going to use these values rather. So this is the way we are going to create them. So probably when you talk about this collection, the collection is, let's say, numbers collection, and that numbers collection is having the values 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So I'm just going to come back here. I will change that to something like this. Numbers is equals to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. That's it. So coming back here and say, this is the way we are doing it. Naturally, we are going to have its own memory allocation. So maybe I'll say 0x10,000, for example. This is the one which is having that value, which is having that address. 20,000 is where we are having this memory allocated. Again, this is going to be the value inside it, which means this is going to point out to this particular memory location, exactly what I mentioned earlier in the last session. And this is nothing but my numbers. So basically it creates a reference again. This is called as a reference. It creates a reference again. And this reference is pointing to this memory location. Now, probably when you talk about something like, where is it? When you talk about something like a sort and something like a reverse, both of them will act on, both of them will act on this particular memory location, and they will interchange the value. If it is sort, the values will get sorted in ascending order. And if it is a reverse, the values will get in a reverse order. But if I do it, I'll end up modifying my original collection, which is something I don't want to do at this moment. And that's the reason I may call a function like numbers_1 is equals to numbers.copy. So if I call this function, see what happens. It literally creates a separate memory location. I hope you still can recall the function alias example. So if I simply say something like a numbers 1 is equals to number, I'll show you both of these examples so you will understand what exactly is going on. So this is an example right now for numbers 1, or should I put it in this way? Okay, I'll put it in this way. See if you can understand. So probably I will say this is the allocation, memory allocation, which has happened on this point. And probably this is going to point out to this particular memory, exactly like what I mentioned earlier. Okay, so now when you talk about the another example where you say something like a, here it is. Okay, so when you say something like numbers 1 is equals to numbers, so this is where we are kind of creating another memory location for a reference. So please see to it and then you will get it like what exactly it is doing here. So this is how we are doing the job. If we say, if you create another reference for it, so probably this memory will change. Maybe I'll say something like 0x30,000 for example. This memory will change, but because it is a so simply like an assignment, what we have seen earlier, like function, it is still going to point to the existing memory location, something like this. So if I just say numbers 1 is equals to numbers, it is still going to point to the existing collection, and because of which, even if you use numbers 1 or number, both of them will modify your original copy. This in other language is generally known as a shallow copy. I bet you might have heard about this if you are coming from C++. So shallow copy. Shallow copy will simply point to the existing one, and this is a bit riskier. It's a bit riskier just because, you know, when you are using the shallow copy, you are pointing to the existing one, and if you call the function like reverse or maybe sorted, this is going to literally modify your existing collection, which is what you don't want to do it. If you don't want to do it, then call this function called as a copy, and copy function will do something like this. Check this out. So probably it is going to literally create different memory blocks, or it will allocate different memory blocks, and it will change the memory location. So let's say 30,000, I'm going to say that it's a 40,000. I'm using some random addresses here. Don't try to get again confuse yourself. The memory addresses is not important. Memory addresses are something to demonstrate that when the new memory allocation will happen and when it will not happen. So when you go for something like numbers 1 equals to numbers, this is called as a shallow copy. And in shallow copy, this memory will remain as it is. This will never change. The new memory location will be created for numbers underscore 1. This is not numbers, sorry, my bad. It's numbers 1. So this is numbers 1. Sorry, 1. And this numbers 1 is a kind of another reference. Same is true for this. It is going to create a new memory location for numbers 1. Not only that, it is also going to create a new memory location when you go for this particular scenario. So see to it that you are getting it. And that's the reason when we are copying the existing collection, we'll get a new memory. And if you are copying this, or if you are modifying the new memory, your existing memory will be intact. So if you call a function like reverse or sort, probably it is going to modify this collection and the original collection will be intact. In case of another languages, this functionality is called as a deep copy. Deep copy means you're not just creating a reference for it, you're also creating different copy of the values within it. So we are creating a separate copy of it on different memory locations so that your original memory, original collection will be intact. I hope you are getting the point here. Aniket, this is the answer to your question. And not only for Aniket, it's for all of you. Now you can understand the difference between just assigning one reference to another and getting a copy of it. So when you get the copy of it, you literally will get a separate memory location. This is an example of shallow copy versus deep copy. Very simple. In languages like C++ or others, there you have to implement a copy constructor and stuff like that. Here we don't have to do anything. You are in Python. Python will try to reduce your time literally in tens or in at least in tens of time. So basically, if you're writing a C++ program, you have to take at least 10 times more efforts than Python. And that's the reason Python is the simplest language to learn. So anyways, now you get the point here. This is the way what it is going to do behind the scene when you are going for a shallow copy and the deep copy. Okay, it's very simple. And that's the reason when I was calling those functions or calling those methods like sort and reverse, I created a copy of it so that I could keep my original collection intact. Okay, so that answers your questions, I guess. Tanya, your question, I meant like we are calling it in a different way, like you are calling pop and not pop one list. Very good. So Tanya, you are saying like when you are calling the method like pop or copy or reverse or maybe sort or all of them, generally, I mean, whenever I say it, I'm correcting myself sometime. I say function, but it's not a function, it's a method. So what happens here is we are not calling pop function and passing list one inside it, or we are not calling sort function and passing sort inside, passing list one inside it. We are saying sort on list one or copy on list one or reverse on list one. These are all the methods. Those methods are getting called on different objects of list. Now, if you want to learn more about it, I would suggest, Tanya, just to put your question on hold for some time. When we go to object-oriented programming, there definitely you will see what happens behind the scene when you do it. For now, just to answer your question quickly, the one which you are talking about, list1.pop and pop, calling pop function by passing list one inside it. These are the two examples of object-oriented programming and procedure-oriented programming. So more on it is coming in next topic, object-oriented programming in Python. Okay, so Tanya, I think you will get the detailed answer later. Okay, okay, how to aggregate the data? Wait, Hanan, you are going to get that answer later. I'm not going to show you that here right now because aggregation, we are going to spend enough amount of time on it in another topic called as pandas. Pandas is a very famous library where we can go for advanced aggregations. Okay, now what do you mean by aggregation and what different functionalities you are going to do it there? We will see it in another package called as pandas. Just hold your question again, you will get the answer. Rohit, your question, copy function also returns a shallow copy. If you just hover it, see what does it return? Shallow copy. It creates a shallow copy. I mean, true, it creates a shallow copy of the reference, not the object, not the actual data. So this, though it says that is a shallow copy somewhere, but it is only for a kind of a reference. It never does that. It creates a separate copy of it. That's why it is saying it. Again, one more time, I use the word shallow and deep from the C++ point of view. Again, every language has a freedom to use different ways to represent different scenarios. So probably when you are coming from C++, most of you already are actually. That's the reason why I'm using the shallow copy here and deep copy here. So in case of this is literally a shallow copy where we are creating a reference copy. And here we are not creating a copy of reference, we are creating a copy of object. So that is what it is doing behind the scene. Okay. And again, it's a language freedom. So maybe it is calling it as a shallow or deep in case, but concept is important. When you say copy, it is literally copying the object. It is literally copying the values within the object. But if you just assign a reference like this, it is still going to point to the existing ones. Okay, so probably this is how it is going to do the job. To be very honest with you, Rohit, no one will ask you to tell me an example of shallow copy or deep copy. This will a kind of an example where you will have to, where you will encounter when you literally write the real world applications. There you will see, if you don't call copy, you are going to end up modifying your original collection. So that is how you can get it. Okay, Abhilash, your question, can we use the push instead of append? No, you can't, because there is no push, I guess. So if you just go back, at least it is not there till the last version or till the current version. So if you say that there is no push, how can you do it? So if there is no such function, you can't call it. I mean, you can create your own if you want to, but this is not available by default. Okay, Abhilash, I think you are getting it. Anyway, so now you see, oh yeah, by the way, Abhilash, you are looking for the push because you are calling pop, I guess. So you want to see the similar function there, right? But there is no actually. Or if you're coming from JavaScript, in JavaScript collection, there is a push function. There is no append, there is no insert, there is something like a push function. Here, this is something called as an append, not the push, okay? Anyways, so now you know like what needs to be done here in order to perform different operations on your collection. We talked about index, we talked about count, we talked about sort, reverse, and copy as well. So I already have given an example of it, like what does it do? The last couple of examples are a little bit simpler to understand. Clear is we used to remove all the values. I should have shown you that example earlier, but nevertheless, I can do it right now. So probably I'm going to have a function 12 here, and in this function 12, I want to remove all the values. I mean, I can still remove all the values one by one by using a kind of a remove function or by using a pop function. You decide which one you want to go for. So probably you can do it, but if I want to remove all the values, there is a better approach called as a clear. So clear is nothing but remove all the values. I'll do one thing. I'm going to come back here and say first print all the values in order to just see whether the values really were there or we were having an empty list there. So we will try to print the original state and then we'll print that list one more time. So this will give you a chance to see earlier we were having these values, but after calling clear, there is nothing left in the collection. So if I say run, probably you can see that there were a couple of different values here, but now the list is, or the collection is kind of empty. That's it. This is the very simple example where we are calling clear. The last example is a little bit different. So till now, whatever we have done, we were calling something like a append or we were calling something like an insert, and we were doing the job. But this time it's a little bit different. Check this out. This is my list one. We are having the value 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Watch what happens here. 30 is missing. So 30, 40, and 50. This is my list one, and probably this is my list two. In my list two, I'm having value 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. Watch what happens here. Preeti, this is exactly the answer to your question. Okay, that is what I'm trying to show you, Preeti, here. This is my list one and this is my list two. Logically, I am having an extension of list one in list two. So what I want to do here is I want to mix both of these arrays or both of these lists together. I want to say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 90, 100. So how do I do this? For example, if I say list one dot append, and if I pass list two here, probably you might say that appending list two to list one will simply add all the values 10, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 into list one. Let's see what happens now. I mean, this is a simplest approach where we are kind of adding all the members of list two inside list one. But see what is the problem with this approach. I'm going to call that list one here and we'll see what exactly is the current state of it. I'll do the same thing before appending it, and then we'll say append the second array. So I'll say append another list. So let's see what happens here. If I run my code, you will see that it has kind of done its job. So it was it was having only values like 10 to 50. Now it is having value 10 to 100. Anyone notices anything here? Little bit weird. Anyone notices any weirdness here? Probably you can see that there are 5 elements which are values, but the 6th element, it's not like it is having 10 elements in it. It is having 6th element, and it is having the 6th element as an array itself or as a list itself. And if you don't believe me, just come back here and say print len of a list one. This is the proof. When I say len of list one, I should have gotten the value like 100. I'm sorry, gotten the value like 10, because I'm expecting adding 5 values to existing 5 values will give me 10 values. But instead it is giving me only 6 values. Why is it the case? It is the case because when you call an append function, the append is going to append whatever it is inside the next position available in your list, in your existing list. So the next position available is the 6, where it is adding the value something like entire collection list to. And that is the problem of using append when you are having another kind of collection here. To solve this problem, probably instead of calling that append, you would prefer using something called as an extend. So you say, hey, just don't append it, extend it with the list to. What does extend do? Extend does some similar job of append, but in a better way. Now you see exactly what you were looking for. You wanted to extend your list one with the contents of list two, and that's how we will get all the 10 numbers. So probably Preeti, you were asking that question. You were kind of, your question was what's the difference between append and extend? The append and extend, both of them are doing almost similar job with one exception. Append, if you pass a list to it, it by default adds that list as a single element at the last position, but extend does even better job. It not only adds the array directly, or it does not add the list item directly, it just take out all the values from that second list, and then it will keep on appending it one by one. It's not like we can't do it without that extend function. We still can do it. Just run a for loop on list two and start appending it to the list one. But it's not necessary because there is a function called as an extend. So Vipin, the function is not merge. This is a extend value, exactly what you are looking for. But the function or the method is not called as a merge. The method is called as an extend. So that is the difference between an append and extend. So probably now you know what does that extend do. So extending a list means you are appending all the values, not the list itself, but you are appending all the values one by one. That is how you can do the job. So probably now you see there are three ways to add something to your list. One is called as an append, two is something called as an insert, and three, it's not exactly you are adding a value, but exactly you are passing another collection, and that function like extend is going to take all the values from that collection and will start appending it individually to your existing collection. That's how it is doing the job. Okay. Nevertheless, I think you know now what does it do, and that is it. I mean, these are the different operations we wanted to perform on a list object or on a list collection. List being the simplest collection and being the most frequently used collection, you need to know all of these functionalities. You need to know all of these methods. And believe me or not, when you start writing the real life code, you will realize that all these methods are used almost in every single program whenever there is a list. So you mostly use something like the list iteration, list sorting, list reversing. They are the very common functions you are generally going to use in your real life program. Now, when you talk about the other collections, I hope I mentioned that last time, when you are in Python, there are four types of collections possible. One, the list, the one which we are looking at. Another one is something called as a tuple. The next one is called as a set. And the last one is called as a dictionary. All of these collections are pretty important. I mean, collection topic is not only important in Python, it is important in all the different languages you already have studied or you might study in future. So a collection is the basic data structure with which we can perform many different operations like what we have performed already. Imagine if you want to use Python for data science, there are ton of values, there are ton of records you want to read from a database and you want to process them. Again, those ton of records will be represented by using the collections. Unless you have a collection, you will not be able to get the data from database, and because you will not be able to get the data without having a collection, you will not be able to process it. If you cannot process the data, naturally, you will not be able to do something like a machine learning or something like data processing or data analysis or data analytics on it. So these days, machine learning is in boom, and that's a reason why we are kind of adding or why we are looking at this topic little bit in deeper way. So I'm looking at every single functionality that you are going to need sooner or later in your machine learning. So anyways, this is the very first topic. This is the very first collection called as a list. Now the second topic, I mean, I'm going to show you a couple of examples related to list, but this topic is not only for list. This topic is general topic in Python. Whenever you are considering collection like list, collection like a tuple, and collection like a set. Set is different, but list and tuple, for both of them, this particular topic is going to apply the same rule. So let us see, what do you mean by indexing in Python? A little bit different than others, but let's see what is the difference here. Okay. So probably I'm going to come back here and I'm going to create a separate page for this. This is a pretty much important functionality for Python developer, and don't miss this. This is literally different than other languages. You might not have even imagined that this is possible in any language, but yes, you are in Python. Everything in Python is possible. So there is nothing impossible in Python. You can write all of these logics by using less number of lines of code, and I can tell you that for sure. Adesh, your question, I'm not able to merge these two lists into third list, like list one plus. You can't do it in that way. So probably just come back here. What you're looking for, Adesh, is this. So probably you're doing it in the wrong way. That's the reason why it is not working for you. You can't simply say something like a list 3 is equals to list 1 plus list 2. No, you can't do that. This is not going to give you anything. This is going to give you a kind of I mean, this is not something like you are going to do it. So if you say extend, this is what you are trying right now. So if you say extend, and if you say something like, what is that, list 2. So here you will see something like a list 3, and this is kind of a none in a sense. If you call that function 14, so if you come back here, you will see none, because extend is not going to return anything. Extend is again in place editing. In place editing, in a sense, you are kind of editing the existing value. Let us try this one and see what does it do. So this is another one, another try, list 1 plus list 2. So probably this one is going to be again list 3. See, when you are going for plus is an addition of it, there you will exactly get what you are looking for. So when you say extend is not what you are going for. If you really want to merge first list and second list into the third one, this can be done by using plus. This is one way to do it. Or another way, the way we have seen earlier, you can say list 3, which is equals to list 1 dot copy, and copy, and then say list 3 dot extend list 2. So this is also going to do exactly the same job. So let me say print list 3, and probably you are going to get exactly the same result. So you do it in this way or this way, you will get 2 lists merged into the list 1. So probably, who's that, Adesh? I think, yeah, this is the way we can do it. Okay, there is another way. Yes, Hanan, there is another way, something called as a zip. A zip can be used in different contexts as well. I'm going to reserve that zip for another little bit complex example. This is the simple approach. So you can do it with this or this. Zip can be used in little bit trickier way. I'll show you that in the dictionary example. Okay. Anyways, you see that in any given situation, or for any given problem, there can be multiple solutions, and you are going to choose the elegant one, and the elegancy of that problem solution will be decided by you. If you like this way, go for it. If you like this way, you can go for it. It's up to you. But remember that when you are in any programming language, a problem can be solved with multiple different solutions. This is a kind of an example of it. Are we using variables as an object? Yes, we are using variables as an object, but I have not talked about objects yet. We'll talk about them when we go for object-oriented programming. Okay, just hold again your question. I'll answer that question later in the object-oriented programming. Anyways, I'm talking about something called an indexing here. It's very simple concept. We are going to start with it. It's not like we are going to finish it off, because it's a little bit different approach approach taken by Python to get the values from your collection. So probably I'm going to start with def function 1. I need a list. So I'm going to say list 1 is equals to, again, like last time, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60, or let's say 50. That's it. So this is what I'm looking for. Going to come back here. And I need this one here. So what I'm going to do here is this. Create one, and probably just show you an example of it. See if you can understand. So let's imagine that this is numbers, and the numbers is having the values like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, so this is how it is doing the job. Now probably instead of arranging those numbers like this, I'll arrange them in this order. So I think, or should I? Okay, leave it. It doesn't matter actually, but it's fine. So let's say this is the memory location of it. I'll just, where should I put it? Maybe I'll just extend it a little bit, and then I'll try to put that address there, because right now address is not that important. The important is the next point. So pay attention and don't lose this one. This is again very important for those who want to pursue their career in data science or in machine learning. Anyways, so when you create an array like this or a list like this, naturally all the values will have their own index positions. So probably I'll say this is the index position 0, for example. Maybe yep, just use it bold. Let's make it little bit bigger. Let's use a different color for that, and I'm going to say this is 0 there. Okay, so what I'm trying to show you here is the index position. So when I say this is the 0, that means the index position for this is a 0. Please pay attention. This is a little bit different than what we have seen in other languages. This is 1, this is 2, this is a 3, for example, and this is a 4, for example. And this is how we are going to get all the values from this particular collection. So probably what we are saying here is, when you put some values inside a collection, you are going to start from 0 to the last value in that collection. And that's how I can come back here and say print, get the values. Let's say a value at the 0th position is equals to, we can get it easily by saying list 1 of 0. That's it. We are going to call that function 1, and I can keep on doing it for all the values like 1, 2, 3. That's it. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think we are having 5 values. So this is how we can do the job, which is very simple to understand. Nothing complicated. So when I say run, I get the value 10 to 15 from a 0 to 4 position. So that's what I'm trying to show you here. And that's the simplest and the most common example of getting all the values from a collection. I mean, be it in any language, this is very common. This is something which even C also tells you, like start your index from 0 and you will start getting the values every after the next index value, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how we can get it. But you are in Python. When you are in Python, this is handled in a different orientation or in a different sequence as well. So when you are in Python, all these values, the positions are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all these positions which are generally known as positive index, I'll simply say the positive index values or positive indices, whatever you call them as. This is the way they are arranged. I mean, from left to right, it's a 0 to 4. But because you are in Python, there are negative index values also possible for the same collection or for any collection. When I say negative values, it's like -1, it's -2, then -3, then -4, and then -5. So this is also possible when you are in Python. Watch this. So probably what I'm going to do here is, I'm just going to a little bit arrange them in a proper fashion. So this is my -2nd position, -3rd position, -4th position, and -5th position. So when you are in Python, the values can be positive in, index values from left to right, and negative index values from the right to left. So you see, this is -5, -4, -3, -2, -1. This is how we can get them. I'm sorry, actually, it's my bad. I'm arranging in a different fashion. Actually, instead of me writing it here, it's better. I can just show you here. So probably I'm just arranging them in a different fashion or in an opposite order. So I'll say that the value at -1, it's so surprising that we are getting the value on the -1th location. This is not a valid location, but this is a kind of simulated. And you see that -1 is on 50. I arranged that in a reverse way. So this is -1. -1 means right to left. So it's like this. From this way, from positive or from left to right, it is the positive index values you can use, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you are going from right to left, it's like -1 to -5. All the values will go in this order from right to left. So what I'm trying to show you here is exactly this in a reverse way. So it's like -4, -3, -3, -2, and -1. So that is how it does the job. Okay, now it's better for me to just arrange them, and let's see whether we can get all the values there. So this is how it does the job. Very good. It does that in one single go. So this is how it does the job. You see, -1 is 50, -2 is 40. So I can simply copy this and paste it a couple of times, and I can see that this is -2, -3, -4, and -5. You see, this is -2, -3, -4, -5. So if I go and say run, you will see that the last value is on -1th index, and the first value is a minus length of index. So again, it's like it is incrementing, is like in positive index, and it is kind of coming from right to left. I mean, if you want to go for increasing order, of course, both are from left to right. But again, just for understanding, the values are like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 from left to right. And the values are like 1, 2, 3, 4 in negative index values from right to left. Direction is not important. Important thing is the positions. So this is the first language you will see minus index value can be used to get a value from your collection. I don't think any other language than Python will give you this particular scenario, this particular functionality to get a value from a minus or the negative index values. So this is the way you can see the values are kind of arranged with the index values, could be positive or could be negative, depending on which one you want to go for. You might be wondering, like, why on earth will you use the minus values or minus index X? Just wait and hold your question. You will get the answer automatically in tomorrow's session. At least in today's session, you can see that we have arranged the values in positive or in negative values. And yes, it is possible for you to get the values by using their positive index values or negative index values. That is certainly possible. And this is how we can get the first point in the indexing. So when you are in Python, the indexing can be positive or the indexing can be negative. I already have mentioned it here. So the positive index will start from left and negative index will start from right. So -1 will be on the right hand side and a 0 will be on the left hand side. The 0th value can be retrieved by using minus length of your array. Now length of array or length of list can be retrieved by using a function called as a len. So if you want to do it dynamically, all we are going to say here is like this way. Print, I'll do one thing, I'll just put some maybe I'll just put a line in between, and then I can say print, see to it, the value at 0th position, which is equals to list1 of 0, and the same value can be retrieved at -1th position, I'm sorry, -5th position by using minus, I'm not going to use value 5, which is hard-coded value. I'll say minus length of list1. I don't care how many values are there, because tomorrow if I add one more value, I can still get that value dynamically by using minus length of position. So you see, both of them are exactly same because both of them are pointed by using different indices, but the value is exactly same. The position is exactly same. Again, it's a little bit weird that you are able to get the values using minus indexes. Don't worry about how it is getting handled behind the scene. To be very precise, again, being a Python developer, we shouldn't worry about it. We should use the feature. And if you really want to go inside it, it is maintaining two different lists. Actually, it is doing its magic behind the scene. So if you are passing -1, it is just subtracting it from the original position. So whatever logic it is using internally, we are not bothered about that. What for us, what is important is the minus values will be used to get to start getting the values from right to left, and positive values will be used from left to right. So this is generally the way you can get a particular value from a list or from a tuple or from a collection in Python. So remember, in Python, the index can be a positive value or index can be a negative value. If you're using negative value, -1 will be the last value and minus length of it will be the very first value inside it. Okay, so this is the first part of indexing. There are a couple of different things. There is a slicing. In case of slicing, there is a little bit different approach we are going to take. And in tomorrow's session, we'll see how that -1 will help us and in which scenario we should go for it. Then we'll look at the slicing feature. And then tomorrow we'll finish the tuple and we'll finish the set and if possible dictionary as well. We'll see. Anyways, I think there are many things we have seen today. It's better we can call it a day today, and we'll continue this chapter in tomorrow's session. Are you okay, guys, now? Yes. Thank you very much. Not a big deal. I'm going to pass on a small assignment on the list today, but end of the day today. I hope you might have got a chance to look at the one which I sent earlier. I hope you must have finished it as well. So probably, yes, today you're going to get one as well. Print 30 repeated, count 30 times is not supported in Python 3.3. It's giving a syntax error. If I remove the F inside the statement, it's not counting the value 30. Can you okay. Shruti, it's better you can just upgrade your environment to 3.7 or 3.8. Just update Python, it will solve your problem. But I'm saying there is no way it will work without F, because when you use a curly bracket, the curly bracket will be used only when you are using F before the double quote. F stands for something like a formatted string. So there is no way you can get that working without f. F has to be there. And if you are getting an error while using that f, just upgrade the Python environment, upgrade the Python version. Okay. Okay, no big deal. Yes, one small assignment will be coming tonight. Yes. Yes, Tanya, we will talk about the recursion after we are done with this. Okay, don't worry. Yes, yes, yes. There was one question I know. We are going to talk about this. We are just preparing for all the different topics there. Okay, don't worry. Yes, Amrinder, I'm sharing all my images, everything with you on both on WhatsApp channel as well as in your Git repository as well. Okay, no problem. Sure, I think it's better we can call it a day, and tomorrow exactly same time, 8 o'clock, we'll start the session. Okay, have a very great day ahead. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye. Thank you very much.